hard to capture, extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant, and I react like a convict and start killing. It's manifested, the gods work like appliances, dealing in my sacred life.
Before we go any further, just want to say today's video is going to be brought to you by Fandomion. If you want to buy some really awesome anime merch from My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, and Haikyuu, and so many other anime, I recommend using my link in the description box to check them out. And there's free worldwide shipping on orders over $39. You'll also get an additional 5% off using my promo code down below. For any of you guys who might be interested or on the fence, I highly recommend checking out their website. Pay attention to the size chart. That'll be the biggest thing I would tell you guys. But with that being said, though, let's jump back into today's video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another discussion for Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And I want to say right now, for anime only fans, this is a safe video. Normally unscripted videos like this are going to be more so geared towards the manga, so I'm not going to be going into major spoilers in this, so no worries on that. However, now that we've had this monumental moment at the end of the last Boruto episode, I think that we need to revisit a stance in the actual community. So for a while there was a lot of split conversation. Is Boruto Shiki's eye gonna be a Jogan in the anime? Is it gonna be a Byakugan? I know some people said like, yo, in the next manga chapter with the colored spread, you see how Boruto's eye was a Byakugan. Again, people have been going back and forth. So now that you got that official confirmation in the actual anime, I want to actually bring up a topic that has actually been growing in the community ever since the Jogan was actually named in the actual anime, which is people have begun to ask, is the Jogan eye actually the next step in the evolution for the Byakugan? And the reason why some people are saying this is that, you know, when you look at the Sharingan had multiple evolutions. You had the Mangekyo Sharingan, and then you had the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. With the Rinnegan, you had the Rinnegan, and then you had the Rinne Sharingan. So people have said, well, yo, like, is it possible that just like the other two dojutsu that are part of the three great dojutsu, that the Byakugan has an evolution? Now somebody's probably typing down below like, well, wouldn't Tensegan be that? And the only reason why I kind of take Tensegan out of that equation a little bit is that that's not actually something that a Hyuga can actually activate. And the reason why I say that is that's an eye that you have to have Otsutsuki genetics. Your body has to be Otsutsuki, and you have to have a Byakugan implanted into your eye. So that's not actually you unlocking it with something you were born with. You're taking somebody else's eye and you're unlocking it. So I don't necessarily count it in that same thing. In some kind of logic way, you kind of jump through some loopholes and say that that's kind of like the EMS. But I want to go back to the actual Byakugan, and the reason why some people are saying is the Jogan the manifestation of that is that we know that Boruto is half Hyuga. Boruto has been stated to have the potential to awaken the Byakugan. He's just not actually done it on his own, but we've seen it where this guy has the Jogan eye, and that Jogan is stated by more than one Otsutsuki to be something extremely scary. Toneri calls it that Eye of Hope. Momoshiki looks at it and says that you strongly inherited the Otsutsuki clan's genetics and that he has this great power inside of him. Urashiki sees that eye and he says like, oh my god, you got the Jogan, that's a pretty nasty eye. Urashiki seemed absolutely terrified once he saw that Boruto had that eye. And so the reason why that's kind of important right there is I think that when you look at Boruto, I've said before, Boruto's kind of hit the genetic lottery. Both of his parents were given chakra by both of Kaguya's children. So both of his parents were given chakra by two half Otsutsuki. On top of that, Naruto comes from distant lineage to the actual Senju clan. So Boruto in a way has some of that physical body manifestation of the Sage of Six Paths. You also have a mother who comes from the visual section of that whole bloodline right there. And the Byakugan stayed to be stronger than the Sharingan. Obviously that was more so in terms of visual prowess. I know the Sharingan has a bunch of hacks abilities, but the fact is that Boruto already had the potential to awaken the Byakugan, and when you add in all those other genetic factors, it's one of those things to where we don't know what Toneri did in terms of helping Boruto awaken that eye for the New A arc in particular. That was the reason why he did it. But Toneri, the way he was talking as if Boruto always had the potential to awaken the Jogan at some point, which means that in my opinion, at some point, Boruto would have been in the process of awakening Byakugan. And I think that it is possible that that Jogan is just the evolution, because you have to look at it from this perspective. All the Otsutsuki clan members that we've seen have had Byakugan eyes. technically Toneri was born with the Byakugan, but when you look at the Naruto The Last novelization, it's directly stated that when you had that civil war that happened between the main branch and the side branch of Hamura's clan, Toneri's branch had their Byakugan eyes sealed away into the Tenseigan energy vessel. It kind of stands to reason that, like, similar to how the Hyuga clan before the retcon were implied to have been born with the Byakugan at birth, the Otsutsuki clan, it makes sense that, yo, they were born with that eye at the actual birth or whatnot. And a lot of people saying, like, yo, in the manga, we've seen a picture of a certain character that has what appears to be multiple Jogans. And you're in a situation to where people are saying that a evolved Byakugan that might have been introduced to a chakra fruit might very well be what actually awakens a Jogan eye. And I'm 50-50 on it. I can kind of see why people are saying that this would be an evolution of the Byakugan. The only problem with that is that I feel like we're missing something. I feel like there has to be a little bit more, because otherwise you would see a bunch of Otsutsuki awakening that. Now, you could kind of go the route of what the Uchiha clan did with the Mangekyo Sharingan, where when we first found out about the Mangekyo, we were told that, like, this is an eye that only has been awakened in a few Uchiha in the history of the clan. But the problem is that as we got further and further into the story, we started seeing in the manga first how multiple characters all around the same time started awakening Mangekyo. It stopped being something special. When you get to the anime, I was actually shocked to see this. You actually had anime only characters using the Mangekyo Sharingan, and some of them were spamming forbidden Uchiha Kenjutsu. And so you're in a situation where, like, the Mangekyo kind of went the route of Super Saiyan in Dragon Ball, where Super Saiyan was originally supposed to be something that was very rare within the Saiyan race, but then you started seeing how all of a sudden it went from this is a power that gets awakened once every 1,000 years to every single character that's a Saiyan transforms into a Super Saiyan, with the exception of Pan. When you get to Naruto, you had the whole situation where the Kyuubi chakra mode was seen as something that was like, oh snap, this is the only Jinchuriki that's a perfect Jinchuriki that has a chakra mode. Then Minato shows up. It's like, well, he's got the other half of the Nine Tails, makes total sense. Then you look at it and it's like, oh, Toneri also has a chakra mode. Chakra modes were the only thing that you saw exclusive to the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, and now all of a sudden you see it with Toneri. So I'm kind of worried that the Jogan is something to where if they play with the possibility, like, yo, you got to be from this very specific portion of the Otsutsuki clan bloodline, that's gonna be a backdoor way to start giving other characters that Jogan. I think that's a mistake. I think that needs to be one of those freak of nature type things to where Toneri, whatever he did to Boruto when he touched him when he was a little kid, when Hinata was carrying him, or when Hinata was carrying Boruto in her womb, whatever Toneri did, that needs to be one of those situations to where whatever Toneri did when Boruto was being carried in Hinata's womb, that needs to be one of those situations where it's one of those freak of nature type of things to where Boruto awakens something that is super rare in the Otsutsuki clan that comes along like once a millennia or something. It can't be something to where you backdoor it and it's like, oh, Himawari might be able to actually do this, or there are other Otsutsuki that are going to have this Jogan. I think that's a huge mistake, and I feel like this needs to be something exclusive to Boruto Uzumaki. I don't feel like this needs to be a evolution of the Byakugan, but that's kind of the only thing that really makes sense, that it's the evolution of a Byakugan that can only be accessed by a certain very small section of people that have Otsutsuki genetics. So I want to know from you guys, what are you guys' thoughts on this? Is the Byakugan the next evolutionary step for the Byakugan, the Jogan? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.